Across the world, paranormal triangles are found. Whether it's the Bermuda Triangle or the Bridgewater Triangle, they are widespread. Up north in Alaska, there lies the Alaska Triangle, an area with thousands of disappearances that is double the national average. Do energy vortexes exist in the area? Does Sasquatch roam these lands? Or do aliens visit here more often than other places? Join us as we look into the Alaska Triangle.
All right, everyone, welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved
unseen.
Triple U.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
You know what episode we're at, Sage?
25.
25. We
I
are
had to
half.
count.
What?
I had to count in my
Really?
head. Yeah.
We are halfway to 50. Woo! A quarter to 100 as well.
Oh my God, I love how good at math you are.
I thank you. And we're one away from half a year.
I know, that's crazy. My next episode will be half a year.
Wow. That'll be the halfway mark for a year. We gotta do something like we probably gotta do a whole episode just talking about the podcast for a year episode
Yeah, I have a bunch of edits
of
of things
dumps.
that we've had to cut out that were stupid. I just I'll have to see if I can put them into like a compilation or something.
Yeah, I'll have to see if we can cover them because whenever I do my editing, I cut them out, so I had to go back to the original file. Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, that's how
So
my
we'll just
edit.
have it for my episodes.
Yeah, well, the ones you edit,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean.
or can try and remember what was in some of these ones. All right. So first off, announcements. We got the Carbondale UFO game coming up on April 12th, along with cryptids and curiosities. A lot, and on I believe is stage was it May 9th? I think it was. Bigfoot and Brews in Coatesville, PA. Let me just double check. I believe that is no May 10th. I think.
Let me look.
Do a quick check for me.
It is April 26th with the rain date of May 3rd.
Oh, sorry, April 26th. So that's coming up. And then we have on let me check the date for Penhurst Paracon, dear May 17th and May 18th. Penhurst Paracon. We will be there. Looking forward to that. That's hosted by Josh Gates, and probably around that time you guys will get our Penhurst episode. So looking forward to that one as well. The other thing that I wanted to bring up again, I brought it up briefly last episode, but we're going to try out some new things here, like today's intro and possibly doing short episodes on every other Friday. If you guys wouldn't mind, leaving your feedback, whether you're commenting on Spotify or go to our Instagram or leave us a message on whatever you're on, it would be greatly appreciated. We're looking for some feedback on these potential ideas. They are, decent changes. I mean, especially if we're doing extra episodes every other week, which I think we're definitely going to do. And the intros, I would love to know what you guys think because I see a lot of other podcasts do it, but we have not.
Yes, if you like the intros, definitely let us know because if you've noticed throughout our episodes, I've yet to do one.
And I've done three in a row. This is my third one.
Yeah, I think this is Frank's third, so he's testing it out. If it seems like it'll work, then maybe I'll consider doing it too. But I don't know. I feel like I'm lazy.
Ah, don't self deprecate yourself. I believe in you, Sage.
Well, that thanks.
I believe in you.
I believe in Bigfoot too.
Do you
Which
think he believes in you?
oh, there's what's that yard sign that I have?
I believe it's I believe in you, but I also believe in Bigfoot, so don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
funny.
that's how I feel about myself.
Oh, so
I'm kidding. I'm fine.
let's get into the fun stuff. Today we're going to be heading to the last frontier. You know where that is?
I'm assuming Alaska.
Yep, Alaska, the last
Why is it called
frontier.
that?
Because it's a lot of wilderness, and it was like the last, like really unexplored place for United States.
Oh.
So it's the last frontier.
I'm not sure how many times I have to justify it, but I don't understand geography, so I'm like,
Yeah, one of these days you'll get better
at
at.
least I knew like where Alaska is. Like that, I feel like it's impressive.
You know, that's your bar for impressive.
Yeah, the standard is really low.
Do you know how big Alaska is?
Huge.
Good. Okay, that's better. That's more impressive than knowing where Alaska
Isn't
is.
it like the third largest or something?
No, it is the largest state.
I thought it was Texas.
No, it's significantly bigger than Texas.
I think I'm just thinking of how it looks on a map, which
Yeah,
shows.
because a map does not show how big it is, but Alaska is huge. It's huge
Why does Texas claim that title then?
because no one cares about Alaska.
Oh, poor Alaska. We care.
Yeah, we're doing a whole episode on the Alaska Triangle, even. So, do you know anything about things that fall under unknown, unsolved, unseen in Alaska?
No, the only thing I can think of is like previously, I think in either like our Yeti episode or just in conversations we've had, something about potential Bigfoots crossing over the like
Yeah,
land bridge or the ice bridge or
Yeti.
whatever.
If Yeti was from there and or Gigantopithecus potentially crossing over the land bridge, giving us Bigfoot or Sasquatch in the
Yeah, like in
U.S. of
the
A. and Canada.
yeah, like in North America. But other than that, truthfully, not really. I don't. I know that there was a serial killer that liked to fly there. He was from there.
There's multiple serial killers from there.
Do you talk about Israel Keys?
No,
Oh, is he? I guess he probably
I
wasn't
don't
in
know
the
if he's
tribe.
part of Alaska Triangle or not, but I do talk about one serial killer eventually. Oh well, yeah, I even mentioned. There's I have on here. There's a variety of things in Alaska, enough that they even have their own triangle, the Alaska Triangle, and that is today's topic. Do you know anything about it? The Alaska Triangle.
No. Do you have any trigger warnings for this episode?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Let me see what. Keep on asking me stuff. I'm getting off topic, off my script. Do you know? Do you know also how many paranormal triangles there are out there?
I don't. I actually don't think I came across that when I was researching the Bridgewater.
There are so many. There, most people are aware of Bridgewater and Bermuda, but I want to go over one of the more lesser known ones. Like, there's one in Scotland. There's the Nevada Triangle, the Dragons Triangle. There's one between Australia and Tasmania too. Triangles galore. Oh, and there's also I think like the Great Lakes Triangle too, which like is a lot of Michigan stuff. But today we're going to be doing the lesser known Alaska Triangle. And before we get into it, I just want to give a quick trigger warning about there will be mentions of murder, murder of women, rape, and sexual assault. And I think that's about it for like things like that.
Okay.
Violence against women and whatnot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. With that being said, are you ready to get into the Alaska Triangle?
I sure am.
Oh boy. So let's real quick begin with where we're going to for today's episode. We're heading on over to Alaska, the 49th state in the United States, and the largest. It is situated at the top of North America, sandwiched between Russia and Canada. I almost said Canada for the hell of it. Yeah, okay. Good job, brain. It is a state with a vast swath of wilderness, whether it be forest or tundra. This is a state with the lowest population density with an average of 1.29 people per square mile. There's a reason Alaska's called the last frontier.
That makes sense.
Today we'll be focusing on a particular part of Alaska and a little tiny bit of Canada. The Alaska Triangle. The 3 points of the triangle are three different cities. They are Anchorage, which is near like kind of the south central Alaska. It's along the Gulf of Alaska. Juneau in the south, which is the capital of Alaska, in Utki, Utqiagvik, 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 I think is how you say it. Formerly Barrow, Alaska, but it got the name changed to the traditional, I believe, Inuit name.
Anchorage is not the capital.
No, Anchorage is not the capital. Juneau is.
What the heck?
I'm pretty sure Anchorage is the most populous city in the state.
It's also the only city I knew was in Alaska.
There's Juneau, there's Fairbanks, there's Anchorage. Talkeetna's not that big. Yeah,
Interesting. That's good. Is that going to be the most crazy fact I learned today?
possibly. So, fun fact. Well, I'm not trying to. Utiagavik is the northernmost U.S. city. I could not find how many square miles also this triangle covered, but it is an absolutely massive amount of land. It does encompass a little bit of Canada's Yukon territory.
Okay. So
So
it's like the Alaskan Triangle, but it does have
a little tiny bit of Canada in it.
the Kananadians.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. So the area is composed of boreal forest, temperate rainforest. I believe that's around Juneau, tundra, and mountains with icy peaks. It's a prime wilderness area in this triangle. So like this is a lot of well, not necessarily unexplored, but untamed land, as God intended.
What? Okay.
What?
That was like so random.
Keep the lands wild. So the Alaska Triangle name was coined in 1972. I cannot find who made the name. The origin is from people calling that area Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, which, if you just called it the entire time Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, like that's a way that's such a dumb name. Like, we're going to Alaska's Bermuda Triangle. Just call it, and it says people eventually called it Alaska Triangle.
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense though.
It makes sense the first couple of times, but you can't go that long
Yeah, but if
calling it
people
that.
don't know like what the symbolism is of just triangle, like what we talked about in Bridgewater, like hearing, oh, it's Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, like automatically gives people an understanding of what you're about to talk
Yeah,
about.
some people still call it that, which I think is a dumb name now at this point. Talking
That I can say I would agree with.
53 years later.
Yeah, I would agree. It's time to start just calling it the Alaskan Triangle.
No, it's the Alaska Triangle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this another the Ohio State situation?
I think so, but it's not the Alaskan. It's the Alaska
Alaska.
Triangle.
Okay.
Come on, it's Alaska,
I'm
not
sorry to any
Alaskan.
Alaskan listeners if I offended you.
All those people in the triangle are going to hate you now.
Jokes on all of you.
Wow.
You can delete that out.
No, I'm keeping that. We don't have a single Alaska listener yet.
No.
We did get a Georgia listener finally, as in the state. However, Germany and United Kingdom, they've been rising the ranks. So back to this fun stuff. The Alaska Triangle is filled with disappearances, cryptids, aliens, and other paranormal happenings. This area has a higher rate of disappearances than everywhere else uh, throughout the country. Since 1988, there have been over 16,000 disappearances within this area.
Wow.
That's a high number.
Since you said 88?
Since 1988, 16,000 people have disappeared in this area.
How many years is that? 37?
Yeah.
In 37 years, 16,000 people have gone missing.
Yes.
How many is that, like, per year?
Let's do the math.
Okay, 16,000.
My calculator's at work.
That's 433 people a year go missing. That's more than one person a day.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is.
Wow. Okay.
That's the statistic I keep seeing.
That's
Now,
wow.
the Alaska Triangle, look up I'll show you real quick a picture of it, and you guys can see this on our Instagram, a picture of how much space this takes up. So the Alaska Triangle you know, um, a kind of thing that helps it out is the fact that it is absolutely massive. Sage as the Alaska Triangle.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
You cover the two largest cities in Alaska and basically everything in between. Here's another picture. Here, this might help too, but like that's a lot of Alaska. You cover the gates of the Arctic National Park, Mount Denali, Denali National Park, um, just the area all around Anchorage. So if you're having people disappearing for like various things, that is probably a good place. And like some of these disappearances are probably like could be murderers, could be just getting lost in that crazy wilderness.
Well, something that I just saw, and granted this could be incorrect because I saw it on the internet, but that
Don't
new
don't believe everything on the internet,
yeah,
folks.
don't. That new Gabby Petito documentary came out.
Hmm.
The woman who boyfriend killed her.
Yep.
And someone said that they, in the search for her in the national parks, they found 9 bodies.
Yeah, they found other bodies of people that were neglected.
So like
And
I can only imagine how many people are missing in this place because no one's going to go there to look.
yeah. And it brings up a thing that there are a lot of people that go missing that don't get the same, treatment. But Gabby Petito, because it was a high profile one, got a lot better treatment. And all of a sudden you find 9 other bodies.
Yeah, and I understand like the gripe people have with that with her treatment, but I think that, like ultimately though, 9 more people's families
Yeah.
have closure, which is wonderful.
Yeah. But it's just, only if they could put that effort in for those 9 others.
I
For,
agree. But
yeah.
I'm thinking like in terms of who's missing in the Alaskan Triangle, like it's no wonder so many people go missing there, like and
Yeah.
aren't found.
Yep. I'm going to burst some bubbles though, back on the topic of the Alaska Triangle, and I'm not going to go over all 16,000 disappearances.
That is, devastating. I wanted to sit here for days.
Yeah, you could probably make a whole podcast out just the people who've gone missing there.
Oh, I bet there's got to be, or
Um,
somebody else can do
there
it.
was, well, I'll go into later some stuff about the Alaskan Triangle, but um, there is a bit much for just one, for one episode. So you probably could just make the whole podcast just called the Alaska Triangle.
Yeah.
So the disappearances amount uh the disappearance per 1,000 people is about 4 per 1,000 people in Alaska in this region, which is double the national average, which is 2 per 1,000.
Wow.
So you ready to go into the details of some of these disappearances and mysteries?
Yep.
So the first topic we're going to go over is aviation. Hopefully this doesn't stress you out because we will be flying this week, and I can say this now because this episode releases after we're back in the country. So, um, yeah, there's some major airplane disappearances.
So here's what I am understanding. This episode will still release whether or not we make it back from our flights because it's going to be set to release before we leave. And so if
That's
this is
You don't have to be so morbid.
past Sage speaking to the future episode, thanks everybody.
All right.
Just
So,
kidding. Go ahead.
so the first event to go over, but not the first disappearance in the triangle we have is probably one of the most major of them all. In October 16th, on October 16th, 1972, an airplane uh, was flying from Anchorage to Juneau, and on it was U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs. On the plane was also the freshman congressman from Alaska, Nick Begich, aide Russell Brown, and experienced bush pilot Don Johns. They had been flying in a small private plane, a Cessna 310. The weather forecast was marginal, with low turbulence and icing conditions. The last contact with them was 10 minutes after takeoff. Nothing seemed suspect at the time, but an hour after they should have landed in Juneau, people started to become alarmed and realized that something was wrong, and the alarm bell started to go off.
Not after they lost contact?
I guess not.
How long is the flight from Anchorage to Juneau?
I don't know for a plane back then, a small private plane.
I'm assuming probably
I think
2
2
hours or
hours
less.
maybe. So this prompted a huge search to go underway, and all hands on deck from the government. The search was comprised of 40 military aircraft and 50 civilian planes, and over 32,000 square miles. There were thousands of people on the ground too, people on boats along the shore. So this search lasted 39 days, and in those 39 days, not a single piece of evidence has ever been found.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're talking the U.S. House majority at the time.
Wow.
That's a high up position.
Talk about high profile.
Yeah. So this disappearance prompted a lot of conspiracies to it and became connected with one of the largest conspiracies out there. You know what that is, Sage?
What?
Think 19 early 70s. What large conspiracy was from around then and still ongoing?
From the early 70s?
Early 70s, late 60s. Well, mid to late 60s.
The moon landing?
No, another big one from then.
Oh, I have no idea.
The JFK assassination.
Wasn't he assassinated in like 63?
Yes, but the conspiracies were still going and they were very big
Oh, I
then.
thought you meant that the
Oh,
conspiracy
no,
started in
no,
the end of the
no, no,
60s.
no.
Okay, if you'd have said the 60s, I probably would have got that. Because the moon wasn't the moon landing in the later.
69.
Yeah, I
So
was on the right track.
we have not covered the JFK assassination yet. I don't know when we're doing it. I believe it's on your list of things to do eventually.
Yeah, I have to get the courage to do it. I feel like
It's a tough one.
it's a tough one, and I want to be
You
sensitive.
want to also get it right because there's so much to it.
Yeah.
It's not an easy topic to tackle. But Hale Boggs was part of the Warren Commission, the controversial group that looked into the JFK assassination. This is the government appointed group.
Mm.
Boggs was someone who dissented to the conclusion of there only being one assassin.
Wow.
Boggs went against what everyone else believed.
Hmm.
So he opposed it, and he believed that there were more individuals involved in the JFK assassination, and that wasn't a lone gunman. Which is, I think that's a fair thing to think.
Yeah, there's like a bunch about angles of shots and how
Yep,
long it would take to load.
yep. So back to the disappearance, there's a belief that he was eliminated due to his dissenting opinion and that he knew too much. It was also suspected that he wanted to reopen the investigation into the JFK assassination, which would have been an interesting if that did in fact occur, but there's belief that that would have caused too many questions to be asked and the truth to potentially get out.
Mm.
So, what do you do when somebody that high profile is asking too many questions? You silence them. So he would be an issue being so high ranking of to be such a high ranking individual to speak out, and a message would need to be sent and a voice silenced. How the plane would have been gotten rid of, that's not explained in many things. It could have been shot down, could have been deliberately crashed on this conspiracy, but who knows? One source on this does point out an interesting document. A Washington based newspaper called Roll Call had submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, also known as a FOIA request, regarding the disappearance and got some interesting documents. The FBI in Los Angeles had gotten a telexes, which is like texting with computers back then, I believe. That's way before my time. It was regarding the plane, and the FBI was let known that the person who sent them the messages knew where the plane crash was and that there were two survivors of the four people on board.
So the person who sent the message is saying this is the case. It's
Yeah,
not
that
the
they
people who requested the
Yep,
information.
two people. They said there were two survivors and they knew where the plane was. Now, this person gave the FBI the coordinates of this. And the FBI looked into the person who sent the messages and determined that he was a credible source. However, the Coast Guard did search that area and didn't find anything, and the source was then deemed unreliable. However, what if they did manage to find something and got rid of the evidence? Nothing points to that, but I'm just saying,
I feel like stranger things have happened.
could be. But interesting fact though about all this, both congressmen did go on to win their races because this was an election year, and that's why the House majority was there to help out the congressman from Alaska because they were going to a campaign event, I believe.
And they both ended up winning after?
Yeah, because you pass away in a tragic event, but you're still on the ballot. They're going to vote for you.
So who takes their spot then?
Special election was then held in I think January or February for both for somebody to actually take the spot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One of those symbolic things. And also, this case is actually a very important thing in aviation safety for the U.S. because this is what pushed for emergency locator transmitters to be required for all U.S. civilian aircraft, as it wasn't required before, and the plane that disappeared did not have one on it at the time of the incident. I believe the pilot did have one, but he didn't have it on his plane because he didn't have to.
Hmm. It sucks that like tragedy is what like finally gets things like this to, be a thing.
Yeah. So that's the most famous of the plane crashes and disappearances. But there are others. The first one is actually from over 2 decades before the 1972 disappearance. The first major disappearance was in 1950. A C 54 Skymaster left Anchorage on January 26th and was heading for Montana. On board were 8 crew members and 36 passengers, 44 people in total on board that flight. They last checked in 2 hours into the flight while they were over the Yukon territory in Canada. That was the last anyone ever heard from them, as the plane was never heard or seen again.
So it's another plane that was never found.
Yep. Now, this was a larger plane, but an extensive search was launched that included dozens of American and Canadian aircraft, along with thousands on the ground. Nothing was ever found. However, a Canadian forest ranger did report seeing a low flying plane and that it disappeared, followed by a loud explosion and a column of black smoke. He was considered a credible source. Others reported seeing the plane in different directions. These were looked into and nothing was ever found from any of these leads. Experts believe that it had to have been a sudden, catastrophic failure, such as structure, technical, or navigation failures. However, some think it may have been something beyond our normal understanding and related to the triangle.
Okay.
And I'll get into some of those later. But going on, I have two more plane incidents, and there's some other ones. I think there's like total. There's two other ones I didn't add on. One of them I would have had to pay to read it, and I didn't feel like paying to read it.
That's fair.
So in 1990, a Cessna 340 that had the pilot and 4 passengers disappeared without a trace, as well as putting it at then 3 disappearances in 40 years. Going further, in 2013, Alan Foster was flying a Piper PA 32 260 from Yakutat to Anchorage. Around 18 minutes into his flight, it showed the plane descending to around 1,100 feet in altitude, which is incredibly low for an aircraft. This was between the Mount
Yeah,
Sabina Glacier and the Gulf of Alaska.
that's only like a fifth of a mile.
Yeah. His plane disappeared here on the radar. No remains of Foster or his plane were ever found. He was a well experienced pilot who had over 9,700 hours of flying. There were no suspicious circumstances in his flight.
Wow.
So that is 4 plane disappearances. So one of the theories for the disappearances for all these aircraft is energy vortexes that appear in the Alaska Triangle. How these alleged vortexes work is unknown, whether it is a wormhole that takes the plane or energy that destroys them. There's not really evidence to back these claims, but I'll go into them a bit later.
All right.
So now on to like your disappearances of individuals. So I'm going to go over a few of these. None of these are plane related.
Okay.
So Alaska is a land of plentiful wilderness. So this comes with a lot of people wanting to visit it. There's pros and cons to having this wilderness, as it's beautiful, but with so much it becomes not too hard to get lost in such an environment and potentially never be found. Thousands have disappeared here, and I'm going to go into a few notable ones. Not going to go into all of them, but there are a lot. A
Okay.
lot that aren't mentioned much online, and some that are that I just realistically could not do it all.
Okay.
So, the first person we're going to go over is Richard Lyman Griffith. He is known for making a survival cocoon. He went to the Alaskan wilderness to test it out in 2006. He made it to a lodge in White River and would then go camping near St. Elias National Park. He would leave some of his gear at the lodge, and it took nearly a year for him to be reported missing, and he was never found. No one has any details on what happened to him.
Wow.
So he was most likely out there trying to test his survival cocoon in those harsh environments, but people expected him to be gone for a while, and he never showed back up.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Yeah, next we have Leonard Lane. Lane was a World War II veteran, and he was living in Fairbanks, Alaska. He was 73 years old when this occurred on July 4th, 1995. There was a parade for the 4th of July, and he took a walk during it. He was never seen again after his walk. No one knows what happened to him, and after 2 years, he was declared dead. Like many others, no evidence or remains at all. All right, next person is Paul Michael Lemetry. He was a 65-year-old marathoner who was competing in the 85th edition of the Mount Marathon race. For this, for the first time in 2012. So this is a marathon, um, around Mount Marathon.
Okay.
This race is held on the 4th of July every year. The race would go up a thick forest with creeks and for about 3.5 miles up a mountain as well. The halfway point is on the mountain, and then runners would head back down. Weather conditions that day were foggy and rainy, not ideal for a race. The last place Paul Michael Lemetry was seen was right before the turnaround, and from there, no one else ever saw him. This was about 3 hours into the race. Searches were conducted and nothing was ever found. No remains or tracks. And this one day, it was easy to pinpoint where he had last been because one of the race stewards had seen him there. But nothing was ever found, and still nothing has ever been found.
Wow. Is
So
that like a theme in most of these?
a lot of these, nothing's ever found.
I wonder why that is.
Well, you're talking about wilderness, and there's, you have animals
I was gonna say
here.
there's got to be like a den of animals that just have collected plane crafts
Gee, plane craft.
and supplies.
God, the bears and wolves are trying to learn how to fly. They're trying to take the gift of flight from man and birds.
Yeah.
Dang grizzlies, they think they can walk on 2 feet and be like us? Well, they can't fly like us. We own the skies. So, our fourth case here is the disappearance of Thomas Siebold in 2012. Siebold was from Three Lakes, Wisconsin, and he had traveled to Alaska in the summer so he could put his survival training to the test in the Alaskan backcountry. He was a native of Germany and had worked 6 years teaching and training people at the Teaching Drum Outdoor School in Wisconsin. So this is a survivalist education center. So this would show that Siebold was an experienced individual, but he was also a risk taker too. That made it not maybe made him not the best survivalist. You don't want to
Okay.
take too many risks. The example that was given was he once injured himself in the leg with an axe in the Minnesota boundary waters. He was with a friend at the time. He almost bled to death and tried to walk with his injury, making it worse while his friend went and got help.
Wow.
So instead of, wait for help, he wanted to take it on his own and could have bled to death. Yeah, so that's not ideal. He would then also spend weeks outdoors surviving using primitive means in the winter prior to going to Alaska. He had no issues here. So he was a known risk taker, but also had plenty of success and experience. So back to 2012, he headed to a cabin right outside the gates of the Arctic National Park in September. He took a 6-month leave from his job for this, and from the cabin, he went into the park and was never seen again. The cabin was owned by the Sheevers, who were friends with Siebold's mentor at the place he worked at. So they were people that he would trust. He was supposed to reconnect with people between the end of October and beginning of November, with a drop dead date being November 10th. So if he didn't reconnect with the outside world, then something was up. But he had till November 10th. So, and he left the cabin on September 27th. So, um, he would then have a flight on November 15th back to Wisconsin. He never contacted anyone, so on November 11th, police were notified. A search was set up and found actually his journal slash diary, depending on how it's written on what source you see. Um, so his journal was in a cabin. The last entry was on October 7th. It was about hiking and camping higher up and a potential campsite he had found. Nothing suspicious. He also talked about cleaning and preparing the cabin he found, so it seemed he was planning on returning there, and the journal was left there along with some of his gear. So that definitely pointed out that he meant to go back there.
Okay.
So they would search and not find anything. They would be getting closer to the winter at this time, and the days would start getting shorter, and you'd be getting close to the almost entirely night time of the year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that Alaska was like that
And
far
we're
north.
talking gates of the Arctic, so the very north of Alaska where it's worse.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah. So um they would be getting so they were flying a small two-seater plane initially to look for him, but ended up using a six-seater uh to better deal with the wind and have more spotters in a final effort as temperatures got into the negatives, reaching as low as -23,
Wow.
and snow was starting to come down. They did spot something suspicious, a circle drawn on a gravel bank. They thought it could have been an O from an SOS, and they ended up searching the area and found nothing. They thought it could also just been an O that Siebold made to mark where he kept provisions, but nothing was ever found. Troopers stopped their searching on November 24th as temperatures had hit minus 35 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm assuming like that's without a wind chill.
Yeah,
Wow. I can't even imagine how cold it would be with
and
a wind
snow's
chill.
falling at this point, and you're in the Arctic area.
Yeah. Oh.
So the family and friends did not want to give up, and they hired two private bush pilots to keep searching. As there were people who had less training who had survived up to 49 days in these conditions in the past. So they held out hope because Siebel did have some provisions and training, but still the odds are extremely stacked against him. And it seemed that they wouldn't find anything. They held out hope and couldn't get anything. So his remaining belongings were returned. And it seemed that he had thought of potentially rafting back down based on some of the stuff he had, but seems he didn't. And it's good he did not try from every evidence they saw because typically you can raft down easily from that area at that time of the year. But they had exceptionally high rain that season, so it would have been too dangerous for him to do that. He also had books detailing like what places he wanted to see and whatnot, but that didn't really get them anywhere. There was never anything found of Siebold, and what happened to him still is unknown. He could have been injured, lost, fell to hypothermia, animal attack, or something else. Something else. We'll never truly know what happened, and he was declared dead in 2013.
Oh wow.
So I'm going to go over a few more disappearances before we move on to the next things because right now we are fairly through the episode. We are at currently uh 41 minutes before editing.
How many pages do you have left?
I am on page 5 of 9.
I'm getting tired.
Sorry. So we're going maybe we should have done this earlier. We're going to go over a few more. The next one is Gary Frank Sother Sotherden. Gary Frank Sotherden.
Okay.
He was a 25-year-old man from New York who had traveled to Alaska in 1976 to go hunting. He never returned, but a skull was found in the summer of 1997. So he disappeared in 76, and a skull was found in 97 along Porcupine River in northeastern Alaska. 2022, so very recently, DNA was analyzed and was determined it belonged to Sotherden, and he was most likely mauled by a bear based on what they found. Didn't say if it was brown or grizzly, but both are capable of killing a man and mauling them, and both live in the area.
Okay.
So that one we do have evidence, and we do think we know what happened.
Oh.
That is like the one solved one I found. The last person I'm going to go over is Shanna Oman, or I'd say Oman or Oman, Oman, Oman. I
I'd say
will
I'm
go.
on.
So she disappeared on June 3rd, 2019. She had been visiting a friend's place, and her friend then dropped her off at Nico River by her home. And when she was out of sight, her friend assumed that she was good, dropped Shanna off, and decided to head home. But that was not the case. Shanna lived with a roommate who called the friend who dropped Shanna off and asked where she was because she never made it home. A missing persons report was filed and a search began. Like some of the others, they had a good starting point, but that's about it. After that, she was never seen again and no evidence of her was ever found. She joined the list of thousands who disappeared within the borders of the Alaska Triangle. So there's so many more I can go over. I found about 10 more I could go over, but I didn't feel like making this episode go on forever. We still have aliens, Bigfoot, and more to go over.
Lots of things.
Yeah. Before we go off the real thing, like the definitely like concrete things, I want to go over one thing. There's similar to some of the stuff with the Bridgewater Triangles, serial killers have been known to act here. So before we get to the rest, I'm going to go over one notable serial killer. There was Robert Hansen, also known as the Butcher Baker, and this is where the trigger warning items are. He was a serial killer active in the 1970s and 1980s. He killed at least 17 women, raped them as well, and raped another 30. All this
Wow.
over 12 years. He owned a bakery shop in Anchorage and was a father and a husband who wanted to rid the city of sex workers, from what I found. He hated women, and it is pointed back to the bullying he received when he was young for his acne, stutter, and being small. So he took that out on women.
Hmm.
He would abduct his victims, rape them, and then either by car or his private plane take them out to the Alaskan wilderness and hunt them. So he would hunt these people.
There was definitely a Criminal Minds
Yes,
episode on
there is
this.
a Criminal Minds episode based off this. So once he killed them, he would bury their bodies and mark it with an X on the map. He would be caught when one of his potential victims was saved when he abducted her and took her to an inn where she was able to alert a clerk. Her name was Cindy Paulson, and she was a sex worker in Anchorage. With the FBI involved, they were able to eventually identify Hansen and found belongings of victims in his attic after they got a warrant. So he kept little trophies. From here, he was arrested and convicted and died eventually in natural causes in prison. That was a greatly reduced version because we're trying to get more into the unknown, unsolved, unseen here. And there are true crime podcasts dedicated to this stuff. There's good ones I've seen, and one of them that probably has way more information is Morbid has an episode on this.
My favorite. Go check them out. I love them.
I have not listened to their Robert Hansen episode. I might have to, but that is something that did occur in the triangle.
Was that the one that you said was like years ago?
What?
Like when? Do you know how long ago that episode was
I
done?
think it was 2019.
Yeah, so that's like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a long time ago now. So I'm going to go on to other topics, but just wanted to put that in the episode as that's another tragedy in the triangle. So now we get to out of this world with aliens. So
Woo!
waiting for your encouragement there.
I'm singing the extra like ET song by Katy Perry and Kanye in my head right now.
Gross.
Whoops.
He went downhill real bad.
You can cut that out then.
No, we can keep it.
But you can cut out your comment about him going downhill.
That's not a controversial take.
Yeah, I feel like this is a little political though.
If you're selling swastikas on your website, then
Okay, let's keep going. I want to go to bed.
the Alaska Triangle is no stranger to UFO and alien encounters. Since 1998, there have been over 560 reported UFO sightings in Alaska. This metric comes from the National UFO Reporting Center. The majority of these sightings occur within the Alaska Triangle, but also does encompass a lot. That does encompass a lot of Alaska, but there's a lot of sightings outside of it, outside of the triangle as well. I would go over them, but that's for a different topic. Maybe some of these in like a Flash Friday type thing, or sorry, Fast File. So, first one I'm going to go over is in 1947, two Army officers reported that they had seen a UFO and reported it to the FBI in Anchorage. It was a sphere shaped object that was flying through the sky, not a saucer or a triangle, but a sphere. The one officer estimated it was 2 to 3 feet wide, the other estimated 10 feet wide, but it had no vapor trail whatsoever. It is believed they may have misjudged the size of the object. It was also traveling against the wind as well. There's also a reported dumb in Alaska, a deep underground military base. So my wife is a deep underground military base.
It's back.
It always comes back. So if you're so specifically under Mount Hayes, this is a mountain in central Alaska. A remote viewer in the 1970s named Pat Price believed that there was a large alien base under Mount Hayes, potentially the largest of the underground alien bases. Price alleged that these aliens looked very human, but their insides were different, like hearts, lungs, and other organs were different. These aliens can use their minds to take control of people, and that they are responsible for messing with the Soviet and US spacecraft at the time. This is all published by Jim Schnabel. Schnabel? I'm going to go Schnabel in his book Remote Viewers in 1997. Man, we're back in the US and I'm struggling with names again. I gotta pick simpler ones. So I got two more notable alien encounters to discuss regarding the triangle then. Next happened in 1986. This is the incident with JLA flight 16 flight 1628. A Japan Airlines pilot, Captain Kenju Teriyuchi, I probably butchered that too, said he saw unexplained craft along his plane while flying over Anchorage. He said that there were three objects, two small crafts and one larger one, a mothership. They moved erratically like nothing possible for the time, and ground radar did not pick up the crafts at all. Then, on January 11th, 1987, in the same area, he witnessed unexplained craft again. The Federal Aviation Authority, the FAA, said that it was just a split radar return. This one is actually a very large case, and I think it deserves its own episode in the future. That was a quick skimming of it because this one is a huge case in UFOs.
Okay.
So there's already so much more to go over here today, and we're already getting close to an hour, so I didn't want to go forever on this. The final case I have to bring up is a more recent one. This one was actually February of 2023.
23.
Yeah, February 2023
February what? 2023?
of 2023.
Do you have an exact date?
No, it's a time period.
Dang it. We're
So
recording this on February 25th
yeah.
of 2025. So,
So their news articles about it, I probably could have found the date. So this one, do you remember actually what was happening around this time? 2 years ago?
we were packing our apartment, getting ready to move into our new house.
Okay, there are other things going on in news, so you'll remember when I say
Had COVID, not that.
it.
Probably at some point in there.
So in February of 2023, NORAD in Colorado detected an object.
Shot down Santa.
I was going to make something about how they should shoot down Santa. So
I stole it.
they detected an object at
Santa?
at an altitude of 39,000 feet in northern Alaska.
That's a bit high for Santa.
And that's
Throwback to last week's episode. That's a big word for Elmo. But that's a bit high for Santa.
my goodness. So that's about the altitude for a commercial airliner. So it
Is
was
that,
what?
that how high in the air we're gonna be?
Probably.
I got humbled. Fuck.
So it was an unusual and unknown object. And this came 1 week after the Chinese spy balloon incident.
Right. Okay. I do remember that happening.
So F-35s were scrambled to confront the object and find out what it was. And here's where we get interesting. The object was car-sized, and some pilots claimed it scrambled their sensors when approaching it, and that it was an unknown object like a UFO, but others say it wasn't. The next day, two F-22s were given permission by President Biden to shoot down the craft. The object would be shot down and crash into the waters of northern Alaska. A 39-day search was conducted, but officially nothing was recovered. Officials' explanation is that it was a benign commercial craft. However, some think it was an otherworldly craft and that the government did in fact retrieve it and covered it up.
Even if it was like a benign commercial craft, you just fucking shot down a benign commercial craft.
Yeah, but
How is it not a bigger deal? You
I
just
don't
killed
know.
people.
Well, no. It wasn't like a craft of people.
Okay.
No,
I
it
think I
was
misunderstood your description.
sorry.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, so like the Canada and the US were involved in this because Canada was also closely monitoring this.
Even then, what the heck?
Yeah. So that one's interesting. So the last thing to bring up briefly is there have been reports of Men in Black in Alaska, but that's everywhere. So now we're going to move on to some of the other fun conspiracies. So moving on from aliens, we move to a more terrestrial one. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. You know what that is?
No. No, I do not.
Better known to people as HARP.
Harp?
HARP.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
HAARP.
The
This is a topic.
AARP?
This is a topic that requires its own episode too. So I'm going to go briefly into it. So this is people claim is HARP is not really studying the atmosphere, but it's actually controlling the weather. It has been claimed to have caused things like Hurricane Sandy and Hurricanes Helene and Milton last year. This theory is even believed by some members of Congress. Did you know that?
No.
Marjorie Taylor Greene believes it.
That, honestly, I should have guessed.
So it lies within the Alaskan Triangle and just adds to the mystery. But people claim it controls the weather and that's how they influence everything around the world. No evidence to really support it. But
Hmm.
that's for a deeper dive. I didn't do that deep of a dive into it.
I don't even know that I want to do that deep of a dive into it.
So moving on from aliens and HARP, we're going to go into Native American folklore. The native Tlingit and Tsimshian. No, wait, Tsimshian. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce these names. They have tales of the Kushtaka. The Kushtaka are otter-like man creatures, so otter men. They can shapeshift into vulnerable people or loved ones and will lure people out to their deaths. They will kill people they lure and strip them of their flesh. They are also alleged to sometimes take the souls of the people too. More malevolent than the Pukwudgies of the Bridgewater Triangle, but similar indigenous tales of unknown creatures. Some claim these creatures are responsible for many disappearances of many of the people we've talked about, but there's nothing to back up these claims.
It's giving flesh pedestrian.
She's talking about skinwalkers, if anyone
Don't
wants to
say
know.
it. Flesh pedestrian.
You got that from Two Girls, One Ghost, right?
I don't know who I got that from.
Okay.
I know. I think Morbid was the
I don't
first one to
know,
talk
but
about that.
I don't,
I don't know. Honestly, at
you
this point, my entire vocabulary is just made up of podcast slogans. So
but I know in their folklore you're not supposed to say the names of them, but we're using the American bastardized name, so I think that
it
does
doesn't
not.
matter.
Okay, but yeah, so that's what some people think is shape-shifting ottermen. There's
Yikes.
no proof or evidence to these. So now we're going to go into claims of other creatures in the area. Um, there are other cryptids in the area, and I'm not going to go over all of them. Like, I believe this is some of the area where some people claim the Alaskan tiger is, or
Bullworm.
what?
Bullworm.
Yeah, the Alaskan bullworm, definitely. People claim to see Bigfoot or Sasquatch in the area, and some claim to see wild men too. Wild men or are like feral humans or some offshoot of humanity that's closer to humans than what we see of Sasquatch and cryptids like that. If you listen to the Yeti episode, we talked about how there's a distinction between the two. On one side, you have more ape-like creatures like Sasquatch, Yeti, and the Yeren, and a lot of other ones. But on the wildman side, you have the Almas, the Gauls, and more. So for Sasquatch, a lot of notable sightings happen outside the triangle, actually. Specifically, Portlock is one of them, which is its own topic eventually.
Hmm.
I keep on saying that today. So, for in the Alaska Triangle, there are a few that I found in Ruby, Alaska, and some of these may or may not be in the triangle. It's hard to tell when I'm looking in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and I'm like then zooming out and like trying to draw the triangle on my screen.
Yeah, that's fair.
So some of these might be in it or right next to it. But in Ruby, Alaska, a man was allegedly attacked by a Sasquatch like creature in 1943. His dog eventually drove it off, but he later died to internal injuries, making us have another cryptid fatality.
Oh, that sucks.
In 1969, a man claimed to shoot a large hairy man like creature while moose hunting. I wrote while moss hunting, but he was moose hunting in Fort Yukon. No other details were given. In the 1930s, locals reported that a Sasquatch like creature killed a local and tore him to shreds, but they later described it as a cannibal giant, which is a different category of unknown creature and potentially bordering on wild man. Next, I have Ghost. I did not really research haunted places in Alaska, specifically the Alaska Triangle, but there is bound to be plenty. I do have one place actually penned in for one of our short episodes for a fast file that is in Alaska, and I think in the Triangle,
Oh, okay.
but I don't think it's really related to the Triangle. So next, we go on to the Black Pyramid legend. This is our second to last topic in here. So for this, we are heading to Denali National Park. There is allegedly a giant black pyramid under the mountains around Denali. Around Mount Denali. This started in 1992 when Anchorage's Channel 13 said that three scientists found unexplainable structures underground using seismic equipment through detonations. Geologists had used these detonations and discovered a pyramid underground west of Mount Denali that was significantly larger than the pyramids of Giza. Douglas
Wow,
A. Yeah, that's big.
that's huge.
Yeah, Douglas A. Muchler. Uh, man, I am really continuing on my butchering of names. Looked into this and found that all news reportings from the events from 1992 were seemingly wiped because he swore he remembered other ones, but you could still find the Channel 19 record. Only the Channel 19 record.
Hmm.
From this, he points to a government cover up in a letter he wrote in 2012. And this letter was sent to Linda Moulton Howe, which I'll go into in a little bit. Linda Moulton Howe claimed that Muchler was a retired U.S. Army counterintelligence warrant officer who gave her the information. She said he claimed the military had. She claimed the military has a connection to the pyramid now and that it was built by an ancient civilization, and it created a lot of power, enough to generate enough power for all of Alaska and Canada and maybe the rest of the U.S. So Linda Moulton Howe is someone who will come up more in this podcast on certain topics, but some think she actually invented this story and others as a way to make money, making her out as a grifter. I haven't looked enough into her, but I know she is a bit of a controversial figure to some.
Okay.
I think I might have a book by her, or it might be somebody else. I forget. So, lastly, I'm going to go over some of the alleged energy vortexes that are claimed to affect the Alaska Triangle. So, these I brought up briefly earlier. So, this is an area that apparently has a vile vortices. So, I don't know if you know. Do you know what the plural of vortex is?
Vortexi?
Vortexes or vortices?
Vortices. Okay.
So, vile vortices is the term that these are shown up in, that these are first coined in, and apparently they're in other areas of the world, specifically where there are paranormal triangles or ancient megaliths, which are ancient giant structures. These vortexes can be positive or negative in their effects. They can cause weird energy fluctuations, magnetic disturbances, healing, confusion, and hallucinations. Some claim they could also be a wormhole or portals to where it goes, no idea. But it could be, through time, through location, or through dimension, these wormholes that are alleged. A clockwise spinning vortex makes positive effects, and a counterclockwise creates a negative effect. So when you see your energy vortexes, make sure you look at the way it's spinning so you know if it's good or bad. Remember, Sage, clockwise good, counterclockwise bad.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Righty goody, lefty baddie.
Yeah. That would make me. I have vertigo. That would suck if I had to stand there and try to figure out what direction my vortex was spinning.
Let me think. Right for righteous, left for losers. Gotta get the alliteration.
Sure.
So they are claimed to make search and rescue actually harder in the area because they cause both auditory and visual hallucinations for people. And some think that these are potentially where people are disappearing, whether it be planes through wormholes or people through these vortexes and whatnot, or that these are leading people astray because regarding planes and on the ground, they are allegedly the energy distortions and magnetic distortions cause compasses to be off by up to 30 degrees, which is quite a significant amount to be off on a compass.
Wow.
Now, if these can be confirmed, who knows? There's really, really nothing going on about these and what, like, evidence to them. But I guess the original person who coined uh, vile vortices was Ivan T. Sanderson, who we've mentioned on the podcast before, because he's a cryptozoologist, one of the pioneers in cryptozoology. Did a lot of studies on yetis and stuff like that.
Very cool.
So I'm now going to go into some of the potential explanations for some of this stuff. So some of the explanations is that the weather could be an explanation. The weather is absolutely awful here at times. You're talking blizzards, feet of snow in the winter, days without sunlight, like multiple days, no sun whatsoever. It's not ideal. We talked earlier about negative 35-degree temperatures with snowfall.
Yeah.
You are getting lost in that and you are not surviving if you're ill prepared.
The only way you could be prepared is if you have gear that is specifically designed
Yep.
to make it through that kind of cold weather.
So weather is already stacked against you in these cases.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that's brought up. And the environment is very wilderness and a lot of things are potentially uncharted. So like you don't have to go far off a trail to get lost and never found. You can go just like a couple hundred feet or like a mile off a trail and you might never be found.
I'm sure that you could even go just a couple feet.
Yeah, well I think it's on the Appalachian Trail. There's somebody who was less than a mile off the trail and she got lost and camped out there and ended up dying.
I think there was someone even closer on some trail.
Yeah, like that does happen. So we're talking the Alaska Triangle is a huge area and the most wilderness, I believe, of any state.
Yeah.
I believe it's 54% of the wilderness area of the country is in Alaska.
Holy shit.
Alaska's huge.
What's considered wilderness?
I don't know what it is, but like Alaska is like half the size of the continental U.S., if not larger.
Does someone want to take me back to 6th grade when we learned geography? Because that just blew my mind. I don't know why I didn't know that.
Have you never seen Alaska compared to the continental U.S.?
I've never cared to see Alaska compared to the continental US.
All right, hold up. Let me show you this. Okay, I might have over exaggerated, but still, the lower 48 are 3,119,884 square feet. Okay, Alaska is 663,268 square feet. That that is the comparison
It's
size.
like a fifth.
Yeah, that's still massive. Look at that compared to Texas.
That's fair.
So yeah, Alaska has a lot of the country's wilderness to it, so you can easily get lost there.
I think I was thinking of Texas's slogan, everything's bigger than in Texas,
My goodness.
as my justification for Texas being the largest state.
So back to possible explanations. Let's see. The Black Pyramid could also just be a hoax. The alien sightings, that's a bit harder to go off of. There's no real good. Could be just missing stuff for the army officers. The Japanese airline. Some of the explanations they gave was a split radar or hallucinations, or that he's seeing reflections of other items. That one is harder to explain, but that's a whole different topic I would like to go into in the future. You look at the benign, possibly just a benign commercial craft for the UFO that was shot down. And what was the other one that I was talking about? What was the fourth one I mentioned? Sorry, I'm going back up my notes. Oh, and the deep underground military base. I mean, like Dolce, it's either real or it's not, and it leans more into not real. So that stuff can easily be fake. The Bigfoot and the Kushtaka can just be misidentified animals or folklore that people like. They think they see something, but it's not really that, or they're hoaxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing for disappearances is, what else Alaska has because it has wilderness?
Animals?
Yep, you got grizzly bears, you got black bears, you got wolves, you got moose. Moose are very dangerous animals.
If so friendly though. If so friendly look, why not friendly? If look like friend, why not
Why
friend?
why is bear friend shaped but not friend?
Yeah, why friend shape if not friend? I see so many videos online of moose like coming up to people or walking up to their cars or like walking up to their houses and
They're
shit.
they're huge.
They even the babies are
Yeah.
massive.
And if you go near a baby, the mom will typically knock you to the ground and just start stomping on you until you're
Yeah,
dead.
very aggressive. Talk about like mama bear, mama moose,
Yeah, mama moose are scary.
mama moose.
That's what I was thinking. And then if you go further north, you got polar bears, which
Which are also incredibly dangerous creatures.
I believe polar bears are the only terrestrial animal
That-
to actively hunt humans.
Yeah.
Like a tiger will hunt a person, but that's not their primary. A polar bear, the human is one of the primary things they try and hunt.
Which is crazy to think of.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that an animal has adapted to want to hunt us.
Well, that very most northern city, they have polar bears there, if I'm not mistaken. Gates of the Arctic has polar bears. You're in the Arctic.
What do you do? Like just have a fence around your whole city?
You, I believe they have people like who are employed to watch for polar bears around the city.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And typically,
But they
you
look
have to do
so
beanbag shotguns to like scare them off.
but they look so friendly in
I
zoos.
know. But then the polar bear is the largest land carnivore on the planet.
If friend shaped, why not friend? They
Yeah.
just like to play with their little bouncy balls in the water at the zoo.
Yeah, imagine if that was a person though.
Wow, that's a horrific sight to have in my brain. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please continue.
So those are some of the possible explanations here. Um, so I'm going to go through my conclusion now. So in conclusion, the Alaska Triangle is a large swath of land heavily covered by wilderness and harsh conditions. This area has more disappearances than anywhere else on in the U.S. and is plagued with unknown happenings. Vortexes are reported and aliens are seen. We have Sasquatch attacking people and potential ottermen. Quite a few of these can be linked to the wilderness and harsh conditions or the various wild and dangerous animals that exist. But is there something more out there? What are your thoughts, Sage?
I mean, I think I shared a lot of my thoughts just throughout your episode here, but it's its own brand of triangle. Like I think compared to what I talked about in Bridgewater, like it's really interesting to see the differences between like what's in Alaska versus what's in uh like you know the northeast of the United States because we're like over here talking like it's puckwudgies or it's this cryptid or it's that cryptid and then over there it's like it's polar bears or moose
Yeah.
or
See,
some like yes maybe vortexes, yes maybe cryptids, but also or maybe aliens, but also moose.
like Massachusetts, we're like, oh, there's potentially black bears there. Oh, they can be dangerous. Alaska, there are polar bears and grizzly bears, and they will kill you. The moose will also kill you.
And the polar bears want to.
There's moose in Massachusetts, but there are a lot more moose in Alaska.
Meese. But
All the meeson.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that would be my thought. It's just interesting to see the differences and obviously there's still elements that are the similar or the same, like the planes and things like that. Um or like disappearances or whatever it may be, but it's just interesting to see it's in the same country, but yet it's so different.
All right. So, you want me to give my thoughts?
Sure.
I think the some of the alien things. I think there's some interesting facts to it. The Japan Airlines flight, which we'll have to go over later. I think there's a lot of credence to that one. That one genuinely intrigued me because this same pilot saw it twice. The other things, like a lot of these disappearances, so easy to get lost in the wilderness and never be seen again. I really think a lot of it is just natural things, whether it's animals or not, or just getting lost and falling ill to the environment or conditions. It that is what it could very easily be, and that's why I think it probably is for more of these. Um, Sasquatch. A lot of these cases, a lot of the things I looked at didn't have much to back it up, so I can't really say much on those. Shapeshifters, I don't think there are otter man shapeshifters, and Black Triangle, I don't think that's real. I don't think there is much strangeness to this place. And one of the things I have an issue with this is you look at this triangle, it's massive, absolutely insane in size and what it covers. And when
Yeah.
you look at the overlay of Alaska versus the US, you're probably thinking that triangle can probably fit the entirety of like Pennsylvania into it. Probably
Yeah.
about the same square footage of Pennsylvania. That's not a small area to be looking into.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah, I'm thinking it's more mundane. Besides the aliens, that's an interesting one. So, I'm now going to go into pop culture for this because, like Ohio State Reformatory and others, there is pop culture to this one. So, I have three things of pop culture for this topic today. There's a recent poster that I would see ads for on Etsy, uh, that was actually also in a calendar too, called "The Legends of the National Parks," and the Kushtaka is included in it.
Okay.
There was a show with 2 seasons on the Travel Channel about the Alaska Triangle, just solely about the Alaska Triangle. I didn't watch it before this. I might watch some of it after, but there is a show called the Alaska Triangle. But I didn't watch any of it. And then lastly, there is the movie The Fourth Kind, which is a nod to encounters of the first, second, third, and fourth kind. So this is from 2009. It is about an allegedly true alien encounter in Nome, Alaska, which is in the Alaska Triangle. I remember the trailers for this movie, and it looked terrifying to me when I was young. And it's and It has times in the movie where it goes split screen between the movie and actual footage from the UFO encounter.
Wow.
Well, ain't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out the actual footage is also movie footage, and that none of this ever happened.
Oh.
Yeah. And they tried to play it off because there were some disappearances in Nome, Alaska in like 2005, but they think they attributed that to people getting drunk and wandering out into the cold and getting lost,
Oh.
which is also one of the possible explanations for people going missing, specifically in Nome. They at one point thought it might have been a serial killer, and the FBI looked into it and said, no, it's just people getting lost.
Hmm.
So the movie also, the fourth kind, was not that well received, which I can see why. Because whenever you have these alleged psychologists who are talking about this thing that they investigated, the psychologists are also actors in your real footage. So it's all a load of baloney.
Wow.
And that's about everything I have for today. So, you have anything else on this topic, Sage?
I do not.
All right. So then I think I'm going to get to signing us off here. But first, I'm going to say, if you're liking the podcast, would really appreciate if you leave a like, comment, review, whatever you're on. If you're on Spotify, love a 5-star rate. If you appreciate it, Apple 5-star review. If we get more 5-star reviews, we might start reading what some of them are and go from there. But if you're on anything else, like, follow, subscribe, listen, share with whoever you want to share with. Every little bit matters. We've definitely seen some growth lately. Appreciate it. Shout out to our German listeners who are increasing your share, and to our United Kingdom listeners who increase their share, because we have Wales, Wales, Britain, Uni- Northern Ireland, and Scotland have all listened to us,
Awesome.
and to our new Austria listener too. Appreciate the listen. And if you're returning, really appreciate every little bit of support from you guys. Hopefully we have an episode next week. That means we made it back safely from our flight. So I think that's about it. I think I'm going to sign us off here, Sage.
Alrighty.
So remember,
To look for
the unknown
in song.
and the unseen.
Thanks for
Bye, guys.
listening.
Safe travels to everyone.